Hello and welcome to a very special How I Paint Things. Now today I'm going to very quickly tackle one of the most common questions I get, maybe the most common, which is what brushes do I use? Now the really short answer to this is whatever I can get my hands on. Honestly, when it comes to brushes, it really is a matter of what you think is going to work best for what you're doing. Now I know that's a little bit, it's not really explaining anything, so I just want to go over quickly why I use two different types of brushes. On the whole, you're looking at two things, either natural fibers, and these are normally something like a Kolinsky sable, which is a little ferret or a weasel or something like that. It's a little wee critter with a long floofy tail and we farm its butt, I guess. I really should have looked that up before explaining it, but I promise natural fibers, they're pretty cool. And then you've got synthetics, and they tend to be like a nylon or a plasticky sort of thing, and the main difference between them is the synthetics are a little more hard wearing, whereas paint flows from the natural fibers a little more easily. So really that's the main difference, okay? So if you are looking at doing base coats or something on, I don't know, any old miniature painting, synthetics, they're a pretty good choice. I use these a lot. You'll almost always see me banging away with one of these, with these little, pale wooden handles. I've not got it there because these, like I said, these are the cheap ones and they do the job. Okay, these you can find in any store. I got this from the stationery supply section. Craft stores, supermarkets, they've all got something like this. What I recommend in general, though, is anytime you pass, say you're at a hobby store or you're in your friendly local gaming store, and you see a new brand of brushes that you haven't tried, just pick one of them up. Grab a standard size brush and have a go with it when you get home. Now, the other thing to consider with what kind of brush you want to use, I see a lot of people going for really, really fine, tiny brushes. And that's not so much what you need. What you're looking for is more a brush that'll keep its point. And that's where mucking around with your manufacturers is going to make a difference. Now, for example, I have here one of the old blue-handled Citadel brushes. This is now, what is this? 13 years old? 14 years old? And if I take off the little doofer here, you'll see a point. And I can still paint with that. And like I said, that is about 1 million years old. So what is the main difference between this brush and what I see people demolishing on the regular? And that's brush care, which is one of the other questions I get all the time. So let's quickly bash onto that. Now I've got here two products which I use to look after my brushes, to really clean them out after a session. Well, not even a session. Once a week or so, I will really go through with these brush cleaners. But they aren't strictly necessary. Okay, I've had these brushes for a long time. They are always being thoroughly abused, and for the most part, I use water. Now, one of the most important things you can do is just change your water. Okay, it sounds simple, but there's a reason why you want to change your water probably more regularly than you are. Take, for example, you've got a pot of clear water. You're painting something blue. You rinse your brush, the water turns blue. Naturally, there's little bits of blue paint now floating around in it. After a while, that paint water is probably going to go a lovely shade of brown, like, for example, this. And if you go ahead, you rinse off your brush, I take this brush, for example, I'm done painting, I rinse it off. I've now got a brush which is full of wet gunk, okay? The little particles that are turning that water brown are now in the brush. I can't see them because there's not enough of them there to really, change the color, but they are there. And over time, what's going to happen is they are going to collect, particularly around the bottom of the brush, and they're going to destroy it, okay? 9 times out of 10, if you've got a brush that won't hold its tip and its bristles are all sort of splaying out, it's because you've got gunk up near the base of the brush, near the ferrule, this metal part, and it's pushing everything apart. Now there's a couple of ways that you can get rid of that, and I use this Revell Painter Clean. This stuff does come with a danger warning, so bear that in mind. It is incredibly powerful. It will clean just about anything. For the most part though, you should be happy with Vallejo brush cleaner. Rinse your brush out in your water, and what I reckon is you put it to one side. So you finish one part of your model, put your brush aside, then when you've finished painting for the day, go get some fresh water and rinse all of those brushes that you've been using out again. Once a week I give them a quick swizzle around in the brush cleaner and job is a good one. I've also heard very good things. There's something called Master's Brush Soap out there. Now I've never used it, so I can't kind of plump for it directly, but that is one that I've heard just rave reviews about, so might be worth checking out. Anyway guys, I know that's not particularly in depth, but the answer to the question, what brush do I use, is whatever's going to do the job. I have Citadel brushes, Army Painter ones, I've got this German brand, I don't know what the name of it is, Lupri or something like that. I've also got one of the Green Stuff World brushes. These are pretty cool. These don't hold their point particularly well, but the way that the bristles splay out is really predictable, which is really good for base coating, I've found. But I digress, okay? Use whatever you've got to hand. You don't need to buy the absolute most expensive brushes out there, because it is going to help you to have a good brush, but in the same way that I'd call myself a competent driver, if you put me behind the wheel of a Formula One car, I'm going to kill myself, and probably a few of the crowd as well. You know, getting an ultra expensive set of brushes is not going to raise your level of painting. Practice with the good stuff first, and you can find that anywhere. So like always guys, feel free to drop a comment in the old box below. Like I said, not particularly in depth, but hopefully something there was interesting to you. Thank you very much for your time. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.